Alright, so this one is going to be a very quick video where I'm going to show you this new editor layout. The first thing that you gotta know about this editor is that you can go to the old one if you need to by going into settings, then UI, let's scroll all the way down, and in here on enable alternative editor UI, this one must be turned off, and then, well, click apply. Alright, so let's get started. Let's go to the editor. Now that this has loaded up, the first thing that you're going to notice is this long grayish bar that you will find on the bottom part of your screen. This is a new feature that I decided to make. It will allow you to switch between animation mode and terrain mode. Terrain mode is the mode that allows you to actually change physically the map. Let's say that, for example, you can place the water, paint it, change the lighting also, you can put some cliff, etc. It's the mode that you're going to use for placing objects and modifying the terrain. And animation mode has all of the animation tools. We have here the cinematics, the animation viewer, the triggers also, and well, if you animate on the editor, you will know the rest. So on the right side of your screen, you will see this minimap panel. In this section here, you can rotate and reset the map orientation. You can also extend the map if you need to. Basically, this part in here is the same as we have on the gameplay. The only tweak and adjustment comes into this one. These are new features. For example, you can now, let's place a unit. You can now toggle the fog of war and you can see what this unit is seeing on your map. If you need it more detail, you can enable the black map, and this is the map that the unit didn't discover yet. As you can see, I'm moving the unit and you can see the trace. Okay, so the next feature, it's called the terrain grid. When you enable it, you will just see the grid. This will allow you to place things more precisely. Let's say that, for example, you can place a barrack and you want it to be very precisely. You can now do so. If you press it again, you can now see the same grid but a little bit smaller. You can now put the units at the center of the grid if you need to. And if we press it one more time, you will see the same grid we have, but the difference is that we can now see the bigger and the smaller one. So that's all for this feature. Let's now continue to the more camera tools. This one is actually a dialog that will pop up when you press on the button that will allow you to actually enable no clip. We can now go around the map with the camera unlocked. We can lock the camera by pressing this button. I can no longer move the camera. We can take a screenshot in here. We can disable or enable camera rotation. And in these sliders, we can adjust the pitch, the field of view, and the screen edge panning speed. In here we have the possibility to change the maximum zoom and the minimum zoom. So all you need to know about this new feature is that this dialog has been converted to make it feel like it is just like the control center from your phone, but for the camera. Alright, so let's close this and go to the bar again. We have some new icons to recognize them better. Here we can actually place god powers. Let's place a lure in here. Then in here we can garrison units. So let's place a town center. To garrison the units, you can either use this button here. This one allows you to select the source object, and this one allows you to garrison the current unit. We enable this so all the buildings can be garrisonable. Alright, so there we go. We can see the units inside in here. We can see the object by pressing this button in here if we need to. And we can also ungarrison all units when we press on this button. Next up is the delete object feature. When we press on it, we can now, as it says, delete all of the objects we have on the map. And this is a really quick one. I don't have anything else to say in here. Let's continue to the transformation tool. Let's place another object in here. By using the transformation tool, we can actually move the object around, rotate it if you need to, like this, or scale it up or down. This feature allows you to roughen the terrain. As you can see, I'm doing it in here. And this other allows you to smoothen the terrain, like this. Then we have here this icon, which looks like a cliff. It's to place cliffs on the map. The new improvement I have made in here is so you can actually now see the thumbnails of them. We can see that, for example, the Ares dirt is going to look like this before placing the object, like in here. Then on the bottom left part of your screen, here you can actually adjust the brush size. You can now undo or redo something. You can copy a unit or maybe the texture of your map, like this. If we enable it, we can now select the copy and paste the unit. And we can also change the brush shape by pressing on this icon in here. We can now select the circle, the square, the rectangle, or the hollow square. If you want to make the brush bigger or smaller with ease, you can hold press Alt and then use the mouse wheel so you can adjust the size. Then we have here this other feature which is called raise and lower terrain. When we press on it, we can manually create mountains. We can also create some dirt. Let's say that you have placed some water in here, you're creating a river, and then you press on this, we can make a sort of bridge. Then in here we can adjust the lighting. Here we can place some trees. Let's say you finished creating the river and you want to add some nature in here, vegetation, you can do so. In these sliders you can adjust it so you can just create some bushes and to kind of form a path or secret path maybe. Then here on the water If we double press on the water, we can remove the water, or we can also beautify it. As you can see in here, it is creating like a kind of beach. And then here we have the possibility to update the water. And this is more like advanced stuff that I'm not going to cover in this. Then in here, on the animation mode, we can start to create animations. Here you have the camera track editor. This one still doesn't work, but it will be fixed on future. The same goes for the triggers. I don't know if they do work, but some buttons they don't. We also have here the trigger group editor, the camera spine point, the XS scripts, the army editor, and the animation viewer. The animation viewer is going to be changed later, so these buttons will be fixed, so don't worry about that. Alright, so the other thing you gotta know about this editor is that you can see that on the upper part of your screen you will notice this active player indicator. This allows you to change between players. So let's say that, for example, I am placing these objects as player 1, and then I want to place objects as player 2. Let me fix this real quick. Alright, so I have placed objects as player 1 and player 2. So if we are going to move these units, we cannot do so because the active player is player 1. So see, I'm trying to move these units and I can't, but these ones I can move them. To fix that, you gotta change to the active player. So now we are player 2 and we can now move these units. And these ones we cannot do that. So the other thing you gotta know about this upper right bar section is that you now have these 3 dots button. We can see these submenus in here. New. This one allows you to create a new scenario. You can change the type, number of players, the seed, the map size. You can resolve default in here. Then we have here the possibility to load the scenario if you need to. To save it, here you can access to the game settings. In here, this is actually bugged. It should say scenario summary in here, and in here you can see all of the information about your map. In the view section, in here you can adjust some things, like for example, hide the minimap if you need to, or maybe hide the UI. And here you can test the scenario on the main menu. You can return to the main menu, exit to Windows, and here will appear the scenarios you have created before. So that's it for this 3 dots feature, and now let's continue to the player settings. When you press on the player settings, you will notice that this is going to be a full screen dialog. This is because of the amount of information you have in here. So let's change the player count to 12, and in here you can see all of the fields you have that you can change. You can change the name of the player, the control, the AI, the pension, the player, the visibility, the resources in here, the population, even the color. In here you can change the forbidden units and touch. Here the diplomacy, and in here the victory conditions. This is also a bug where you press on it and it closes the dialog. It shouldn't behave like this, but it is going to be fixed later on. Then in here we have this new feature called map settings. Something I decided to add in here is to make it so that the map size and the map elevation is merged in one single dialog. So in here we can adjust the size. In here you can elevate the map up or down. Here you can playtest your scenario. You can now choose the player you want to be and the difficulty level, and then press on play. The last thing you gotta know about this new editor layout is that we can now, when we press on a unit, you will see this new stats panel in here. This stats panel will allow you to start balancing your map. So we can see the health in here, the attack, and if we start scrolling you will see more information about this single unit. In here you can have the formation commands, so let's place some more. We can now make them turn into a formation, patrol them. Okay, it doesn't work in this build yet, but it will be fixed later on. And in this one we can kill the units. Here you can have the possibility to see the link triggers, and you can make notes also. Like this. Alright, so I think that is all you need to know about this new editor layout. Let me know in the comment section what are your thoughts and provide some feedback so we can improve this editor to be better. Thank you very much for watching the video and see you next time.